What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Show and Go podcast. I'm your host, Blake Anderson. I'm here with my co-host and newest member of the World Series Club in MLB The Show, Anthony Steller-Harter. And then there's Ryan, who hasn't gone 12-0. All right. Today, we're going to be talking about the 7th inning program. No problem, Anthony. We're going to be talking about the 7th inning program, giving our thoughts and reactions. We're going to talk about the attribute issues and some of the balancing issues in MLB The Show. And then we're going to move on to some of our finest predictions. What you guys got to start us off today?
First things first, I'll see what Ryan thinks about this. Why didn't they just make Hank Aaron max power? I know, Blake, you agree with that. I don't see why they couldn't have done that. Ryan?
I mean, that card would have been just the most insane card in the game. I understand that he could have easily had it, and I think we will see a max power Hank Aaron in future games. I just don't think it'll be this game. With they want more of a complete player, especially releasing this late in the year. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to make him all power heavy, and then you have people complaining, not usable on Legend, rate my team. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, see, I think it's Hank Aaron. It's a milestone card for breaking the home run record in the MLB. I think you got to go 125 both sides and call it a day. I don't think a single person complains, to be honest. And I think because it's this late in the year, I think we need a card like that, like comparable to Frank Thomas offensively with the good defense and speed. But I do understand they probably wanted to make him more statistically accurate because people have been complaining about a lot of that lately. We'll get into that later. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and read off all the bosses and maybe even some of the classics cards?
All right, yeah, we got the 99 across the board pack. We got future star Spencer Torkelson, the Torquemeister, maximum torque. I don't know, other physics jokes. We got Hank Aaron, which we already discussed, and we got 99 Tony Gwynn, who's identical to his last two cards the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Then you want me to go over the classics pack now?
Yeah.
We got the classics pack. Absolutely loaded. Player of the month, Dylan Bundy. Looks like a stud. Should make everybody's rotation. We got flashback finest, Danny Santana. And the last one is postseason Adam Eaton, who's sneaky good, I might say. I love his swing in past years. But I think the lower henchman pack is really where it's at. That's when you see the cards that are pretty nice. The cycle Jonathan VR really stands out to me as like a budget beast, sort of like the Kevin Biggio we got earlier this year, but a switch hitter. Just good versatility, silver defense at short. Who were the other two?
Johnny Cueto and somebody else.
Justin Upton.
Best card in the game. Worst swing in the game. But Cueto should be nice for filling out your Kershaw collections, which, I mean, best card in the game, right? Kershaw, given all that you need to get him, he has to be the best card,
I'd quick sell him if I could.
Yeah.
I swear to God I would.
Kind of an F.
So here's my take. I love Johnny Cueto. He's such a fun card to use. He's always got good control and good movement. Yeah, Justin Upton's a little bit weird. VR, great swing. Just like Adam Eaton, those two cards will be awesome to use like in BR. Those will be fun.
No,
Upton, you know what card
Upton
I think?
Swing. Oh man,
Upton's swing is disgusting. But you know
that's
what
I said.
I think will
no,
be a
I said VR,
VR
and Eaton.
Oh, VR.
Oh,
okay, my
VR,
bad.
VR.
I thought you said he'd be good in BR and Eaton.
Oh. You know what card I think would be good in BR, though, is that Danny Santana, when defense doesn't really matter.
Honestly.
And you can draft him and build your team around him, because he can play literally anywhere but catcher.
Yeah.
Yes, Blake?
And he's going to be in the finest collection when that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make sure to buy him. Hold on to all your inning henchmen. They go up
They're
in
always
price
going to
a lot.
skyrocket.
Yeah.
All right, back to the bosses. I gotta say, Tony Gwynn, I don't think he's an L. People are gonna say he's an L because of the power. The dude can do literally everything else, and he's got a great swing. He's exactly what you would expect. The only complaint I think that's warranted about him, he probably could have been an inning boss with the rounds that were the first 99s released. I think that would have been a good time to drop Tony Gwynn because we don't have that many stacked 99s. So I think he makes some people's lineup or maybe even their bench. At this point, though, after Team Affinity Stage 4, he's not really usable on a God squad at least. What do you guys think?
I'd honestly go the other direction. I disagree with you. I think Gwyn is more usable now than at any other point in the year because we see all these no-hitter cards with super high hits per 9 that we weren't seeing in the beginning of the year. Guys like Arrieta, Verlander, these are some of the top pitchers in the game. And even like the free guys, the Saberhagen, Newhouser, Maddox, they all have decently high hits per 9. And so that makes the high contact for Gwyn even more important.
That's a very fair point.
Originally, I was on the same boat as Blake. I agreed that he wasn't really usable with the new guys that came out. But after thinking about what Ryan said, I have to agree with Ryan. That max contact and max vision is more than usable on Legend to go against what Blake says about every card in the game. And he has that, high 60s, low 70s power if you parallel him. That'll play, because what I remember from 19 when I used him for more than half the year, he plays above his power. He has such a good swing with that elite defense. I think that card will definitely play on all levels of the game.
Another thing I just want to point out, everybody's wrapped up in the parallel system and how, if you parallel this guy to parallel 3, he gets up to max contact. Parallel 4, he has diamond fielding. This Gwyn is out of the box, ready to use, max contact, max vision, diamond defense and right already. You don't have to touch him at all. No grinding offline. You just plug him in the lineup and play, which is nice.
That is, I think, super convenient.
And I think, too, with how many cards are built around power, it's honestly not a bad idea to have a card that can just get on base for you with good speed to put in the 1 or 2 spot or even in the 8 spot before your lineup turns over to the top of the order.
All right, let's touch on the Torkelson a little bit. Do we think he's the top 5 third baseman in the game right now? Gold defense with really good hitting stats.
Top 5?
Yeah.
I would say top 5 easily.
Top
Blake,
3.
what do you think?
Top 5 for sure. Top 3, I'd have to use his swing because I think that's what it comes down to. His attributes, probably a top 3 third baseman. I mean, Chipper's number 1. Number 2 is probably Ryan McMahon tops now from April or whatever that was. So I think I could slide Torkelson in the... Oh yeah, Frank Thomas. You could throw Frank Thomas at 3rd. That's go ahead and try that out, guys. Ryan loves to do that.
Confirmed it works.
So I've probably got Torkelson at 4 then for that. But yeah, being serious, he looks great. His contact is above 100, which is huge. Great power, of course. He's a huge power hitter. Got some versatility position-wise, and he's got good defense. So I don't think you can really go wrong with him. He might be my pick if it wasn't for Hank Aaron. I might have to scoop up Torkelson just to try him out, but I think I'm going with Hank. I don't know about you guys.
I'm definitely going with Hank, obviously, for obvious reasons, but back on Torkelson, I would definitely use this card if I didn't already have 2 guys that are end game playable at third base with Chipper, who I have at short currently, and I'm still sticking with the All-Star Game 99 Vlad Jr. I don't think this Torkelson touches Chipper or that Vlad to play third base, in my opinion, but it's definitely a really good card if you still need a third baseman and say you don't have Chipper or can't afford Vlad. Definitely usable on Legend, right, Blake?
Yes, yep. And again, Torkelson is potentially free. So, like you said, for a budget team, Torkelson is probably your top third baseman.
I want to say something quick about his versatility. Blake, you said, he can play left, he can play first. And a lot of people say, 60 speed, he'll have silver defense in left. That's not playable. It isn't to start him out in left field. But you get a defensive substitution, you get some base running where you need a pinch runner. You have flexibility if you have these guys in your starting lineup. That's what's nice about Chipper Jones. I found that sometimes I put him in left, sometimes I put him in short, depending He's always starting at third, but he'll slide over depending on what the matchups look like.
Yeah, and Hank kind of fits that same boat too. He can play outfield and first. I think Torkelson, if you're in the spot like Anthony where you have two endgame third basemen, Torkelson could be on your bench. He's not a bad bench guy to have. He's got good splits against both sides, like Ryan said, the positional versatility. I definitely want to try that card out, whether it's in BR or whether I scoop him up and use him for a ranked game.
And with this new player program, we have Joe Carter, 96 overall. This card is awful. Do not use him online. His swing isn't even that good. I just don't see how this card is even a 96 overall. He's bad.
It's interesting. The only thing I think is interesting about this card is the fact that it's a 30-30 card at first base, which is what they brought up in the SDS stream. I was like, that is kind of interesting. And then I saw the stats and I was like, okay, just go back to the postseason Blue Jays card. Like the moment he's literally known for. Dude
hit a home run to walk off the World Series.
Game 7. That card needs to be in the game.
You think about the 99 Steve Pearce. Steve Pearce was heroic in that World Series. If you compare his performance to Joe Carter's, it's just different levels. Joe Carter hit a home run to win the World Series. Only one other person has done that, Bill Mazeroski, who they also have the rights to. But they've never given him a postseason card either, which I just want to see one of these years. Just see a juiced 99 postseason card for Joe Carter or Bill Mazeroski. Juice up the card art, make it look cool, okay? Don't have just like the little banner on the side. Make it look cool and give us a 99 overall postseason card.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think there's quite a few postseason. The postseason cards, to me, they always get released during the postseason, which makes sense. That's fine. But it's hard because year to year we're getting postseason cards from that year, which is obviously really cool. It's what people are talking about. But I think they forget during the year that we still want to see postseason cards from certain guys. Like even David Ortiz in 2013 carried the Red Sox. He hit like 700 in the postseason.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team was hitting like 200, dude. It was nuts. And because we got his 99 early in the year as the collection reward, we just haven't seen we got the gold Ortiz and the 99 Ortiz, and that's it. So I think next year I want to see a postseason Ortiz instead of like a 2006 or a 2004, or a 6 series.
Yeah, name the last time we got a postseason card released that wasn't in one of those classic packs. There's
was it Reggie when he
I think it's headliner Bob Gibson or Justin Verlander, guys who got higher versions shortly after, where it's like these cards aren't getting used. There's no point to postseason cards until the postseason, which sucks.
Right.
Yeah. Mazeroski and Carter too are two players that they're not going to get 99s other than those postseasons. So I really don't understand the logic there. I think they're just trying to mix it up so that people don't say the content is stale, but I don't get it.
But why get the rights to Mazeroski then? Nobody's asking for a 92 Bill Mazeroski Gold Glove card who's a righty hitting second baseman with good defense. He's terrible. I don't think I've ever run into him in any game mode over the past whatever years that he's been in the game.
Literally.
So just give us a juiced power one, good defense. I don't care about the contact that much. Just make it fun,
Literally.
Yeah, totally agree.
With the way that they juice content anyways, why not? They can juice up this, Brian Hayes giving a Topps now 97 overall for having a walk-off hit, but Joe Carter can't get a 99 for one of the greatest moments in baseball history, walking off a World Series. It doesn't make sense.
Touch 'em all, Joe. Speaking of Topps now, we got 4 new ones coming out. And Nestor Cortez as a 97 overall with 99 break. Most underrated card, or no, most underrated player in the majors.
Yeah, Blake. Let's hear Blake's opinion on these amazing Tops Now cards. Like,
L
care
ratio.
to explain, Blake?
No.
All right. Well, since Blake wants to be quiet, I'm gonna do my signature Brandon Crawford move here. TJ Friedel, 97 Tops Now, went to my high school, Foothill High School, Pleasanton, California. He also went to the same university I did at University of Nevada, Reno.
Way to just dox yourself, Anthony.
Yeah, what's your
Idiot.
social security number, actually, now that you bring that up?
Does that not say the high school he went to? Because he literally went to
It
Foothill.
does not.
That's unfortunate, but he did go to Foothill High School. Him and Brandon Crawford went to the same high school as me.
And shout out Mookie Betts for getting that ball back for him.
Yes,
That was cool.
Was
that was a cool story. That was a cool story.
that was sick of Mookie Betts to do. Good guy, Mookie Betts.
For those of you who don't know, TJ hit his first career home run, which was also his first career hit. And the people who caught it immediately threw it in to Mookie to give him the home run ball back, which is a huge it's a classy move by the fans in the stands. And Mookie came back and gave him a signed bat. So Mookie pretty much handled that transaction, and it's something you love to see in baseball. So the other two are Lewin Diaz and Eddie Rosario for hitting the cycle, which is obviously really cool. Got to give a Tops Now card there. Unless you guys have any actual comments on these cards other than Nestor Cortez, I'd like to bring up a point about Tops Now regarding its future.
Eddie Rosario has a good swing. That's all I have to say about it.
Okay. Anthony?
Eddie Rosario does have a good swing. I can confirm.
Never mind.
Cool.
I changed my mind. I don't want to agree with Anthony. Go ahead, Blake.
All right, glad we got some confirmation there. So here's my take on Tops Now. It's sort of causing an unbalance in the game, just a little bit, because we've got Tops Now cards scaling as the year goes on, just like the rest of content, right? Where the Tops Now cards in the beginning were lower tier diamonds, they moved up to mid tier diamonds, now they're high diamonds. We've got 98 overall Tops Now cards. That's a problem to me, mostly because they're juicing these Tops Now cards so much that they're just as good, if not better sometimes, as inning bosses, World Series rewards, 12-0 rewards. I mean, Cal Quantrill's Tops Now has better hits per 9 than Pedro Martinez. Go ahead, Anthony.
Tops Now, Joey Wendell is comparable to the last inning boss MVP George Brett. You can put the stats side by side, and you wouldn't be able to pick which one you want more between the two of the cards.
I think that's a good example, Anthony, with the Cal Quantrill and Pedro Martinez, and then Joey Wendell and George Brett, because those cards are just as good, if not better, as those other cards. I mean, obviously Quantrill isn't as good in game as Pedro Martinez, or in real life, but why is the hits per 9 so high? I mean, Pedro, that's like the most important stat for pitchers. And you're telling me Pedro Martinez is worse at limiting hits than Cal Quantrill in the Tops Now card. And again, it's not just the fact that they're juicing them, it's just that Tops Now cards are so easy to get. You do 15 to 30 minutes of grinding moments, and you have like 4 of them that are just as good as inning bosses, 12-0 rewards, World Series rewards. That can't happen. Like,
Hey, Blake.
Yeah.
You're wrong. You're just flat out wrong. Okay?
Let's hear it.
You're telling me that there's an imbalance in the game because some cards are just as good as other cards? That is the definition of balance.
No. Nope.
Yes, if you're having cards that are worse than other cards, that's an imbalance. So they're evening the playing field for these cards that people aren't using anyway, and they're juicing the stats on them to make them look like they're going to be just as good as this. But they never really are. Name 10 Tops Now cards that are viable right now.
Jazz Chisholm.
1.
Jose Altuve, Yu Darvish.
Okay, Altuve's borderline.
Tim Anderson.
Tim
Field of Dreams
Anderson.
game.
I'll give you one, Gary.
Gary,
Gary.
Joey Wendell.
Joey Wendell,
is not
he's-
usable. Nobody uses
He's the
Joey
same
Wendell.
as George Brett.
He's
Nobody-
the exact same as George Brett.
He's
He's
not.
the exact same as George
Nobody
Brett.
uses George Brett either. He's
It
not
doesn't
usable.
matter. It doesn't matter.
But
I'm just
but
saying
do you
he's
see?
not-
But Ryan, that's the problem. Is that we're comparing Joey fucking Wendell to George Brett. They're what?
I'm counting it. Yasmani
Fine.
Grandal.
Yeah,
Grandal.
Six,
Grandal.
seven.
Grandal starts in my lineup for the record.
Lars Nootbaar. Lars Nootbaar is
Nootbaar,
usable.
Okay,
Lars,
Nootbaar, you got
Lars.
8.
Garrett Richards, closer.
No.
Garrett Richards.
No.
Yes, he's
I'm
good.
not-
I faced him in my... Yes.
Okay, that's
Conforto.
bias.
Conforto.
Conforto, sure. Okay, so you have 10 borderline top 10 options at their position.
Andrew Velasquez.
Nobody uses that card. I've never seen that
He's
card.
usable, though.
Ryan
He's usable,
McMahon.
though.
McMahon, I'll
Ahmed
give you.
Rosario.
See, but these cards aren't being used by people.
But it's not.
It's
that,
not
that really doesn't.
overwhelmingly tops now in everybody's lineup.
And that's fair.
The easy... You want the noobs to just go into games with tops now... With 90 overall tops now cards instead of...
Jedediah Lowry.
Jedediah Lowry 100% rakes. But these cards are easy to get, yeah, but they're not as good. So, if you put in more time, you get better cards.
You kind of don't though. Like it's not enough time to make up for it.
That's your
Like
opinion.
Freddie... Rizzo striking out Freddie Freeman silver relief pitcher card.
Cards goated.
Number 12. Weep,
Akil
Ryan.
Badu.
Kyle
Anyways.
Isbell.
Anyways.
Seth Brown.
This whole argument, Ryan, is based more off the principle than actually seeing them in lineups, because it's just disrespectful to legends of the game to give them juice tops now cards. And I'm not saying take out tops now. I'm not saying don't even give them diamond cards. All I'm saying is think about the comparison a little bit, you know? Like,
But-
cap it off at 95 if you have to.
But the
I agree.
comparison
Fine.
is the final result, which is the end product of these guys being used in lineups. And they're not being used in lineups.
But
Bozo.
But there's rarely any lineup diversity anyways, because there's
What?
only certain usable cards.
There is so much lineup diversity.
There's a lot of lineup
You're
diversity,
wrong.
Blake.
I disagree, dude. You see the same cards.
We
Well,
ran
like, you'll see
through
Chipper
the top
and you'll
5
see-
pitchers, and we disagreed on quite a few, and it was all like borderline. We didn't know who to rank in the top 5.
First of all, I was talking lineups, but pitchers,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, let's
starting
talk lineups
pitchers,
then.
there's a decent amount of starting pitchers that are used.
Okay, lineups. Catcher. There's a lot of usable catchers.
There's
Adley,
like 4.
Pudge, Gary Carter,
Adley,
JT
Pudge.
Realmuto, Will Smith,
Yeah.
both Salvi cards.
I guess.
Gary
Yeah, I
Sanchez,
guess.
Yasmani
But you
Grandal,
don't see,
Jorge.
but no, but we're
Posada.
not talking about who's usable. We're talking about what I guess.
Okay,
I
who do you
guess.
see overwhelmingly in lineups?
Schwarber.
At catcher?
I don't
Yeah,
see Schwarber
Schwarber,
anymore.
Adley.
I do see Schwarber.
Okay, you see Schwarber.
Okay, from games that I've
Adley.
played in events,
Realmuto. That's also
and
limited
ranked.
to one region. So that's a
Right.
little
So
selective.
I'm just saying what I've seen people use at catcher.
Yeah.
I've seen Schwarber, I've seen Biggio, I've seen Adley, I've seen Gary Carter, I've seen Pudge. In my World Series game, I saw Pudge being used. I've seen Will Smith be used in ranked. I've seen both Realmuto cards be used, the 98 and the 97. I've seen both Salvi cards be used, and I've seen Gary Sanchez being used.
Blake,
That's more than
Blake,
enough.
do you hear that? That sounds like diversity to me. That sounds like
I mean,
diversity.
call it what you want. 99% of my games, guys, are on Hall of Fame above 800.
Okay.
You can't relate. You can't
Who are,
relate.
who are you facing?
Hey Blake,
Over and over.
made World Series an hour
What?
ago?
You did. Once.
Thank you.
What player is just dominating a position?
Okay. You've got Chipper,
Mhm.
Trey, Jackie, Frank.
Jackie is
Mantle.
not dominating anything.
I see Jackie all the time, more often than not. I would have to guess.
I see him, but I don't see him as dominating second baseman.
I mean, that's fine. He's the guy I see most at the position.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, let's go to first base,
Wait,
though. Is
no,
there anyone
sorry, Blake.
dominating first
Blake,
base?
I misheard you. Which one of those cards was a Tops Now card?
None of them, Ryan.
Oh, so they're not in lineups.
Ryan is manipulating my arguments, and I'm not here for it.
You mean I'm arguing?
No. Arguing is you take a stance and you disagree with me or agree. No, you're saying that I said something earlier that I didn't. I said that it's the principle of the Tops Now cards being as good. I never said that they're flooding people's lineups.
What's the problem with them being good if they're not in lineup?
It's the principle. It's the principle of it. It's that I want to be, because I'm gonna grind. Ryan, I speak for not the majority here. I speak for the people.
For the trees. I'm the Lorax, Blake. Okay.
What?
I'm the fucking Lorax. Okay, and you listen to me. These cards are not being used. Therefore, there is no principle of them being better than.
No, there is a principle.
No, there isn't.
So is.
No.
They should not be as good
Blake.
as all-time legends.
Hey, Blake.
That sounds good to me.
So then leave.
Check
Check out.
You heard it, guys. Blake wants the return of the Immortals. He only wants the Immortals.
No.
He only wants 1099 cards in the entire game. That's
I
what he
literally
wants.
said all they have to do is compare the Tops Now cards to other cards, you know? They're like
What? You said you wanted them nothing like to be compared to.
No, like when they make the card, consider the other cards they're releasing at the same time. Like with Pedro, only 102 hit per 9, and then they're releasing multiple Tops Now cards that are better.
Like, how many 99 overall Tops Now cards do we have?
There's like 2.
There's one. It is Tim
There's
Anderson.
one. Okay.
And
Overalls don't matter.
Anthony Rizzo.
If overalls don't matter, then overalls are conveying of the stats. They're a summary of the stats. So, if the stats say they aren't a 99 overall, then how can you say these cards are on the same level as these 99 overalls?
Because overalls and stats don't directly translate to in-game success. You know
I'm not
that.
talking... We already said that in-game success is not tied to these cards. You're saying it's the principle of the stats, and now you're saying it's in-game success?
That's what I've been saying the whole time, Ryan.
What's
Mom
the
and Dad,
principle?
please stop fighting. Please. I've had enough.
Is the
Pick a
principle
side, Anthony.
that the stats are too good, or is the principle that they're too usable?
I'll let the lawyers decide whose side I'm on for Mom or Dad.
Well,
Blake
that's
is
too
Mom
bad.
just because of the hair.
That's fair.
Ryan's Dad because he raised his voice. Anyways.
I'll fucking
Anyways,
hate you
like
if you
if
don't
overall
choose me.
if overalls don't matter, why were you saying that there needs to be an overall cap on the Tops Now?
Yeah.
I never said that. I
You
literally never
did.
said that.
You said,
You said that. You
to
said
cap
that.
them
You
at
said that.
95.
You liar.
I will clip that and I will bring it up again.
There's literally no. If you're listening to this, just know I'm being manipulated. You might not even hear my original audio. You might be hearing like a voice modified Ryan. Okay. You know what? Let's
Blake
agree
gets
to.
owned in an argument. I'm getting manipulated. You're gaslighting,
You're gaslighting me.
Yeah. Blake's just a girl boss.
Anyways, let's agree to disagree on Tops Now. That's fine.
Right.
I don't really
Okay,
care.
I'm right.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that big
Okay.
of a deal at the end of the day. It is a little bit frustrating though, as a Red Sox fan with Pedro's hit per 9. Right? It's a little bit personal.
Then Pedro should have given up less hits if you want him to have higher hits per night. That's all it comes down to.
That is 100% true.
Yep.
How
How many no-hitters
Anyways.
did he throw?
I
It's a
none.
goose egg. None.
Yeah. Well, I can't argue with that, so that's going to do it for the podcast. No, let's move on. Let's move on from overalls and stats. Let's talk about something that I think needs a fix. Anyways, the Tops Now point was segueing into a bigger point about how certain attributes dominate online gameplay. For example, we've got hits per 9 with pitchers. It's one of the only things that matters for a pitcher. You've got stamina, which doesn't matter at all because every pitcher can throw a complete game, 130 pitches, no problem. Hits per nine is super important. K per nine seems non-existent. Velo and break, actually, velo matters a ton, right? Outlier is huge. Pitch mix matters with, you need a sinker, a cutter. That's the meta in this game. Break doesn't matter at all, dude. There are pitches with lower tier break than like 99, and they're breaking just as much. It's strange how some of these pitching attributes barely matter, and then some of them are make or break for a certain card. That's the reason why these milestone cards, the no-hitters, the perfect games, that dominate rotations at the moment. And I mean, Jacob deGrom, who's one of the best pitchers in the game, top 3, has above 120 hits per nine. It's huge. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They really decentivize a lot of stats, especially with pinpoint. Like walks per nine doesn't mean anything. Like I was throwing continuously perfect pitch after perfect pitch with Maddox in the event. Absolutely just missing spots, walking guys left and right, and it's so frustrating. I think that's one of the biggest things is the par just lies to you. And I know we've talked about this before, but it just lies to you. That's all it is.
Yeah. The problem with these attributes being so overpowered in online gameplay, it really limits the amount of starting pitchers, especially that are usable. We have a ton of starting pitcher options this year, and I really don't think most of them are usable. It kind of comes down to DeGrom, Ohtani, a couple of the milestone no-hitter cards, and from there you get into the lower tier of usable cards. But that upper echelon is like 5 cards, and a lot of them are very expensive. So once you get to Hall of Fame level on ranked 700-800s, that's all you're going to face, meaning that you have to adjust your lineup accordingly with high contact guys.
Except for Blake, who still has Edward Cabrera in his starting rotation.
107 hits per nine.
And is thinking about
sinker.
putting in Corbin Burns again.
Outlier sinker. Bro, they both have what you need to be a good pitcher in this game. It's a perfect example of why this is a problem. Because Corbin Burns and Edward Cabrera don't have the same secondary stats, or not literally secondary, but walks per nine, Ks per nine. They don't have the same stats that some of these other cards do, but they're just as good, If we balance these stats out so that K per nine matters, if they balance stamina's broken, first of all. Ryan brought up a great point earlier in the year. Why the hell does Garrett Crochet have workhorse? The dude's barely been a starter at any level, and he's got the workhorse quirk and like 100+ stamina. What are we doing?
They drafted him game. And immediately made him a big league reliever.
Exactly. And I understand it's a future stars, but he does not project out to be that type of starter. So once you balance out... What?
I said you don't know that.
That's fair. I can't predict the future. Once you balance out some of these stats for pitchers, it balances out what can be used as a pitcher or a hitter. You get more cards that are usable. And again, lineup diversity is great. You want to see different starts. You want to see different hitters. So again, we want more lineup diversity. I think, again, then you come into the issue where it's like, okay, these Tops Now cards are comparable or are not as comparable to some of these upper echelon of starting pitchers. Once you get these attributes balanced out, it does make different cards usable, and it does make gameplay just more fun for a lot of players. Once you can use the cards you like, once you get rewarded better offensively, once you get rewarded better defensively, you start to run into more fun. You start to run into people who want to play the game more because they're not as frustrated after playing only one game of Ranked. I really think that...
So if you're so smart, what's the fix then?
I am not a game developer, right? I do not know how difficult this would be.
If you're saying that the attributes need to be balanced, what's the fix?
So you have K per nine, first of all. not matter as much as hits per nine. You can lower hits per nine slightly as far as how much it affects in-game stats. But with K per nine, if you have higher K per nine, then you should make contact, or people should make less contact with your pitches. With walks per nine, you should have better control, right? You should walk less people. Like Ryan said earlier, that doesn't really, you don't see that on the field. You really only see hit per nine because it changes your PCI size. If you have break actually matter, then you've got guys like Aroldis Chapman, for example. He throws 102, right? His fastball is very straight. It does not have natural movement. He does throw like a little two-seam, but it's slower and it doesn't move as much. In game, that thing's it's a Zach Britton sinker. It moves across the strike zone. It's a joke. It's unhittable. Along with his
Nando!
Nando! Along with his
Fernando Tatis Jr. You
It's the
cannot
video
do
game
it
making it
any
clearer.
better than that.
Along with his slider, which again is not like it breaks more than it should. And I think if you have pitch break mimic more of what it does in real life, not only do you have a more balanced game, you have a more realistic game.
I agree with you, but why should walks per nine affect control? If control's its own stat, walks per nine, if you think about it, is just the pitcher, their approach to the hitter, which is all you in the game. So it should really just be control that affects where the pitch goes.
That was a problem I ran into as I was thinking about how you could change pitching stats. I just don't think they should take out walks per nine. I just don't really know the fix there. I mean, maybe you change it into a quirk where it's like when you have better pitch accuracy in a 3-ball count than a player without that quirk, you know? I don't really know how to fix walk per nine because, like you said, when some of the, or I guess most of the gameplay is being done by the player, then that attribute doesn't really matter. It's almost like home runs per nine or whatever, because that doesn't affect offline anymore or online anymore, right?
The only thing I will say is that walks per nine, it's really like, how are you going to go back to the 1900s and be like, this guy walked 3 batters per 9 innings, which was average at the time, but we're going to give him elite control. Like, how can you separate the two for the older players? I understand now we have the data of the glove shifting and all that, but it's hard to separate them from back then.
Right. And again, that's a problem that SDS is running into, not only with walks per nine, but with every other stat, with velo, hits per nine, because the game is so different era to era, right? It's changed so drastically that it really is hard to compare certain players. You have the steroid era where the offensive numbers are going to be juiced. Nowadays, everybody strikes out an absurd amount of times. Back in the day, you have people who aren't throwing as hard. There's so many different issues that I'm not even going to say there's a clear-cut fix. All I'm going to say is there needs to be consistency, because certain cards get juiced, like Walter Johnson, Bob Feller. Those dudes have outlier. Like, they're throwing so hard, which is just not realistic. And that's fine, right? But then they juice some cards. They don't juice some cards. They decide this guy's going to pitch like a modern era guy, and then some of the guys, it's just they play like they did in the 1800s. It's like, where's the consistency? What's the solution? I think it's being consistent. That's all.
I like how Walter Johnson throws 102 side-arming it.
Yeah.
That's super realistic.
It looks effortless.
It does. I want to wrap up
Gratterall
this
from 3/4
discussion and move on to what we think Diamond Dynasty will look like in the next couple months. Anything else to touch on it before we move on, Anthony? Blake?
Honestly, unless we get really juiced finest cards, I feel like most people have the cards that they're going to use for the rest of the year. I was talking to Ryan the other day once I got Belly, and I couldn't believe I was saying this, and I'm sure it took Ryan a step back that I said this. I said, honestly, with my outfield and my team right now, I don't need Griffey, and Ryan knows I'm the biggest Griffey fan in this game. And I already feel like I have my end game team, and it's almost October. So I feel like a lot of people feel the same way. I just made my first ever World Series run, so I feel like I have no need to change my team, obviously. So most other people probably feel the same way, unless they want to add good cards that are just their favorite players, such as the finest card for whatever their favorite team is.
Yeah, moving on to finest though. Any predictions for what time of the year we'll see it?
Yeah, so I'm thinking November is going to be our finest month. I think SDS is sort of, and I'm going to give SDS credit where they're due. I'm a big SDS fan, so when I critique something, that's how I'm actually upset about it. I think a good thing is to delay finest because of how good Team Affinity Stage 3 and 4 have been. We've got a ton of usable cards. We've got a good amount of usable cards from those groups, especially for the time they were released. So with finest, how high can we go? Again, you're sort of running into the problem of the finest cards are probably going to be just as good, or they're probably going to be better than Team Affinity Stage 4, meaning that the best Frank Thomas card might not be the best first baseman come finest time. Unless they decide to not juice up the finest cards, which really wouldn't make sense. But I do think that we see it after the postseason, considering that today the 7th inning dropped, and there was no talk of finest other than it's coming eventually. There's nothing on the calendar. So I think the postseason will take over October as it normally does. We'll get finest at some point in November, and they're going to have to be juiced because it's the home stretch for content in November. November and December are normally dead months for MLB because you're leading into the new year. And by the new year, you're already looking forward to next year's game. I mean, the cover athlete will probably be announced in November or December, right? So
yeah.
We're already thinking towards 22. And I think finest in November is fine. It's a good way to end content for Dynamite Dynasty as far as like big drops. Those are the fun cards you'll be able to play with.
Yeah, I'd like to run through a prediction video sometime, but that obviously won't be today. And then we got postseason. I'd like to go over like one team to watch just super briefly for each of us. We're going to do a full postseason episode, not MLB The Show related, but just some players you want to have postseason cards potentially, and some teams to just watch down the stretch because they could be dangerous.
Definitely.
Anthony, you want to?
Oh, I'm getting started. Wow. I get a voice? Okay, I'm
Fernando!
No!
Blake, go ahead.
I'm thrown off. I'm getting a voice. Blake, go
No.
ahead. Take it away
Yeah,
from
Blake,
me
go
like
ahead.
usual.
Okay. I was waiting to cut you off, but you actually gave me permission, so my bad. As far as teams to watch, you got to pay attention to the Brewers. Ryan, this might have been your team, but the Brewers' starting rotation is second to none, and they're going to be a fun team to watch, assuming the lineup can continue their timely hitting and stay hot. That's my team to watch. Surprisingly, not the Red Sox.
Any player you think you want to highlight from that team?
Corbin Burns, 99 overall finest card incoming. Protect your lineup, people.
I'm talking about postseason. Who do you think is primed to get a postseason card?
I would give it to one of the hitters because you got to think that
Or Woodruff.
But Woodruff could get a finest card. You never know.
You could. Yeah, I was thinking Woodruff or Adames are good candidates.
Yes, Adames, because his contact on his live series, his hitting is atrocious. He's got a good swing though. I think he's a good candidate for a postseason card.
He got one last year.
JBJ doesn't have a bad swing. I would like a JBJ card that's juiced.
Adames got a postseason card last year, if I remember correctly.
Didn't he get a 42 this year?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
With the Rays.
I wouldn't be mad at an Adames postseason card.
I guess I'll go then. My team to watch, honestly, is the White Sox. Same reason as Blake was giving. Fun lineup, good hitting in that lineup, and that rotation is solid, and they have the best reliever in baseball, still, in my opinion, in Liam Hendriks. Sad that he's not in the green and gold, but I got to pick the White Sox with how they've been consistent all year. In the pretty shit division, obviously, but they took advantage of a bad division, and they ran with it. Amazing rotation, like I said. Great bullpen, great hitting. I just don't see many weaknesses in that team. Did I take your team again?
No. I'm unfortunately going to go with the Houston Astros. I am not a fan of this team.
Boo.
I root against them every single year, and I think they have everything to prove. Correa's going out after this year. He's leaving the team. You got Greinke is going to be a free agent, as is Verlander, and so obviously Verlander's not going to play, but I think they definitely have one of the most talented teams by far, and they don't really have a lot of competition in the AL. I think they're the best team in the AL by far.
By far? In the
yeah.
American League?
Yeah.
I don't think they're better than the White Sox or the Rays, if I'm going to be honest.
I think they're better than the White Sox easily. I think they're better than the Rays. I just don't think the Rays pitching is going to hold up. They use their bullpen too much. And you saw what happened to the A's down the stretch. They leaned on their bullpen, leaned on the same guys over and over, and it fell apart. So I'm going to say the Astros, and I'm going to pick Lance McCullers. I think he's had an amazing year. He should either get a finest or a postseason card.
Yeah, I'm excited for finest. I think it gives a lot of cards that you wouldn't normally use a chance to stay in your lineup. The cards are so juiced. It's just a fun program, especially towards the end of the year. You got nothing to lose.
I have a question for you, Blake.
Yeah.
Does Shohei Ohtani get a finest card?
No.
He can't, right?
Nope. He can't.
Even if he wins MVP?
We've seen his best card this year, man.
That's tough.
It's one of those things where he was good the entire season, so he got a 99 early on. I don't think you need another one. You have a two-way Shohei Ohtani, which again they need to fix his usability. We still have problems using Shohei Ohtani like we would in real life. I think that would be something to look for next year.
So you're comparing yourself to a big league manager. You think you're on the same level as them? So you should be able to use Shohei Ohtani the same way?
I think that we're not on the same level, but I should have the same options as a big league manager.
So you're saying you'd be a better manager than Aaron Boone?
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Congratulations, all listeners. Blake thinks you're a better manager than Aaron Boone.
It's true.
But I think that's going to wrap it up for us, right?
Yeah, let me give my final thought.
Final thoughts.
My final thought for this episode. Obviously, we can go back and forth on attributes and balancing, but I gotta say, if they drop some sort of patch, or even if this is fixed next year, I think we have a lot to look forward to in MLB The Show, because once they get the pitcher attributes balanced correctly, once they get the content schedule and the hits per nine, like versus some of these all-time greats, once all that stuff is worked out, it affects gameplay so positively. It'll be night and day. I promise you, if they fix some of this balancing stuff for 22, not even 21, just 22, it'll be night and day. 22 will be the best MLB The Show you've ever played if they fix the correct issues.
No, they're bringing back Immortals. They need to balance back the light and the dark side of MLB The Show.
Blake, I gotta disagree with you. That's a really hot take, saying that if they fix the game, it'll be the best game that they've come out with. That's pretty bold.
It may be my hottest take, but I'm standing by it. Okay.
You're an idiot.
That's all I got.
Anthony, congrats on making World Series. That's all I got.
Yeah, congratulations. Welcome to the club.
Yep. Ryan, thanks for letting me be once again better than you in every single way of MLB The Show and what it stands for. Blake still remains top dog, but I regained that second seed overall.
Going for my fourth World Series run this year. We'll see. Twitch.tv/Balake34. Self-plug. Follow us on TikTok. @ Show and Go Pod. Blowing up as we speak. Can I see your feet, Ryan?
Why are you not wearing socks?
Why would you? It's hot. You don't wear socks when it's hot.
I'm wearing socks only because I came back from somewhere, so I'm just,
See, but you wouldn't
It's
normally wear
cool
socks,
in
right?
it's cool in my apartment right now. It's kind of cool in my apartment right now. It's not hot, so I'm wearing light, thin socks.
Should I
I'm
record
here
a
in New
is-
York, just hanging out.
Editor's note, keep this in the episode.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Let us know if you agree with some of our takes. Let us know if you disagree. Please subscribe. Listen to all our episodes. Go ahead and listen to some of the old ones. They're great. We'll be hitting you guys with a postseason episode next week, and we'll see you later.